Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today this video is about Microsoft's Windows 11 Moment 3 update, KB5027231, OS build 22621.1848. Starting with this build, and talking about the highlights, this update addresses security issues for your Windows operating system. Moving forward, and talking about the improvements made in this build, this security update includes improvements that were a part of update KB5026446, released May 24, 2023. This update provides the full amount of storage capacity of all your Microsoft OneDrive subscriptions. It also displays the total storage on the Accounts page in the Settings app. This update adds Bluetooth Low Energy Audio. Your computer must support Bluetooth LE audio to use this feature. This update improves audio fidelity and battery life when you pair your computer with Bluetooth audio earbuds and headphones. This update addresses an issue that affects the narrator. It now announces text attributes correctly for words, such as misspelled, deletion change, and comment. This update addresses an issue that affects access to tab settings for emote sites. This update addresses a multifunction label printer issue. It affects the installation of some of them. This update addresses an issue that affects audio playback. It fails on devices that have certain processors. This update addresses an issue that affects the touch keyboard. It shows the wrong layout for the French-Canadian language. This update addresses an issue that affects the touch keyboard. Sometimes, it does not show the correct layout based on the current input scope. This update addresses an issue that affects the Chinese and Japanese input method editor, IME. When you search within the emoji panel, search might fail for some of you. This update addresses an issue that affects search indexer.exe. It stops working after you sign out. This issue occurs after you upgrade your machine to Windows 11 Azure Virtual Desktop, AVD, and sign into that machine. This update addresses an issue that affects Server Message Block, SMB. You cannot access the SMB shared folder. The errors are, not enough memory resources or insufficient system resources. The update addresses an issue that sends unexpected password expiration notices to users. This occurs when you set up an account to use Smart Card as required for interactive logon and set enable rolling of expiring NTLM secrets. This update addresses an issue that affects the Local Security Authority Subsystem Service, LSS. It stops working. This occurs when you use Azure Virtual Desktop, AVD. This update addresses an issue that affects the Storage Spaces Direct, S2D, cluster. It might not come online. This occurs after a periodic password rollover. This update addresses an issue that affects .sourcing. It fails files that contain class definition in Windows PowerShell. This update addresses an issue that affects the use of the event viewer. The issue limits the number of event sources that users who are not administrators can access. This update addresses an event viewer issue. It affects the rendering of a forwarded event log. This update addresses a memory leak. It occurs every time you print a rich text document. This update addresses an issue that affects a computer when it renders a half-tone bitmap. The computer stops working. This update addresses an issue that affects devices that have multiple, discrete GPUs. You cannot choose the high-performance GPUs from the default graphics settings page. This update addresses an issue that stops your device from working when it resumes from modern standby. This update addresses an issue that affects applications that perform certain actions in a callback. The applications might stop working. These actions include closing a window, WM_close. This update changes the support phone number for Microsoft India for Windows activation. This update changes the International Mobile Subscriber Identity, IMSI, ranges for certain mobile providers. This update addresses an issue that affects the Windows firewall. The firewall drops all connections to the IP address of a captive portal. This occurs when you choose the captive portal addresses option. This update addresses an issue that affects devices that are joined to Azure Active Directory, Azure AD. The Windows firewall cannot apply the correct domain and profile for them. This update addresses an issue that affects Windows Defender Application Control, WDAC. It might create audit events that you do not need. This occurs when you choose the disabled, script enforcement option. This update addresses an issue that affects the Chinese and Japanese handwriting panel. It does not show text prediction candidates or stops responding. This occurs when you select a word from the candidate list of the handwriting panel. This update addresses an issue that affects the run as command. It stops working. The device behaves as if you did not sign into your account. This update addresses an issue that might affect a large reparse point. You might get a stop error when you use NTFS to access it. This issue occurs after a cancelled FSCTL set operation changes the reparse tag. This update addresses a known issue that might affect some speech recognition apps. They might have sporadic speech recognition, expressive input, and handwriting issues. This occurs when the display language is Chinese or Japanese. The apps might not recognize certain words. They might not receive any input from speech recognition or affected input types. This issue is more likely to occur when the apps use offline speech recognition. For app developers, this issue only affects speech recognition that uses Speech Recognition Grammar Specification (SRGS) in Windows.media.speech recognition. This issue does not affect other types of speech recognition. This update addresses an issue that affects the MDM_VPN v2_01 class. Enumerating this class fails. The error messages is generic error. Moreover, this update addresses a known issue that affects 32-bit apps that are large address aware and use the copy file API. You might have issues when you save, copy, or attach files. If you use some commercial or enterprise security software that uses extended file attributes, this issue will likely affect you. For Microsoft Office apps, this issue only affects the 32-bit versions. You might receive the error, document not saved. This update addresses a compatibility issue. The issue occurs because of unsupported use of the registry. This update addresses an issue that affects the Windows kernel. So that was all from Microsoft for this build. If you want to know more, follow the link to the official Microsoft blog from the description. Hope it was useful. Consider like for the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, just comment down below. Thanks for watching and have a great day ahead.